Morning everyone and welcome back to my vlog. My name's Jenny and this is my channel, Jenny Loves to Sew. So today's video is a little bit different. I've been making the ginger jeans and I've been videoing the process along the way. So I thought what I'd do today is put a compilation of all the videos that I've done, just showing you the process of how I made them. It's a little bit bitty obviously because I've filmed it over several days and its camera's been stopped and started again, but hopefully it'll be of interest to you. So without further ado, I'll put you over onto the video. So I bought this kit back in April. That's how long I've been holding on to it and thinking about making jeans. So I'll just show you what I've got. So Satisfaction comes with the card, and thank you for your purchase. And pattern I'm using is the ginger jeans. Then the fabric, you have to bear with me because it's a bit difficult to show you things and hold the camera at the same time, but it's a lovely dark denim, and it does have it is a stretch denim. I can't really show it with one hand. I might be able to do it up here. There is a decent amount of stretch to it. We've got the zip, the interfacing, and then in this bag that I sent this out, we've got all the little, we've got machine needles, the top stitch thread, which is a lovely mustardy colour, and navy, which is now rolling off the table and under my sofa, thread. And then we've got all these little bits here, which I've got no idea what they are. Obviously I know they're used for jeans, I've seen them on jeans, but got no idea what you'd call them. There's a few different ones. There's some spiky screws, there's two types of bronze colours, and then there's some larger, those are the buttons. So that's my kit. Okay, so my pattern pieces are all cut out now. I actually cut them out individually rather than on the fold. I read that was a better method of doing it. I have shortened these trousers, so I basically just use the shortening length and line and just fold it over the paper, and then I just, so obviously you can see it's got funny little edges, so I just smoothed that out when I was cutting it. And then I've used for these are actually called pocket stays. So obviously it goes on the inside, it's going to be part of the pocket. And I've used this leftover, it's a Liberty Tanner lawn that I've got that I used to make a Kaylee shirt, and that's what I'm going to use for the pocket insides because I think it'll add less bulk to it. I'm also going to do the inside of the waistband with the same fabric. So my next step is to actually baste it all together and see if it's anything like fitting. Okay, so these are the jeans now. I've basted them together. I will insert a couple of photos so you can see what the fit is like. Right, so in the photo I actually just took in an inch on the an extra inch on this seam here, but when I've actually sewn them together again, what I've done is I've taken another extra 5/8 of an inch off the back seam there, which I've run all the way down to where the yoke joins the trousers, and then I've just slowly gone in there. Which is a little bit rough on this because obviously it's all basted together, and then I've done exactly the same on the side seams. So that makes the fits a lot better now. Okay, so now I've got the fit right, I've deconstructed all the basting seams and I'm ready to get down to my actual sewing. One thing I've done before I actually start is to change the, if I can find them, yeah, change the notches obviously, because I've changed the seam allowance. So I've actually changed the notches on the waistband in line with the different seam allowance. I've done that now so that I don't forget at a later stage and then have trouble fitting it. So the first stage of the sewing involves top stitching, so I've just done that. So I've got my two back pockets and that's the coin pocket. That's my top stitching, and if I flip it over to the other side, I just use normal thread in the back, which is what I think you're supposed to do. The first time I ever did any top stitching, I put top stitching thread in the bobbin case as well, and it didn't turn out well, so I just use normal thread now. What I have done, and it advises you if you can, and I'm lucky in that I can, is that I've got 2 sewing machines. So this is my first sewing machine I bought, which I've threaded up with my top stitching, and then next to it I've got my sewing machine that I use all the time now, and that I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to thread that up with the regular thread. Just makes it easier because there's lots of top stitching, and if you've got to keep changing the thread all the time, it can be quite tricky. Okay, I thought I'd just show you this next little bit because I got a little bit confused as to which bits go where. So I've just done my pocket, so that's my coin pocket attached to the main pocket, and now I've got to attach the lining. So I'm making version B, so I've got that piece, which is that's F1, so you've got F1 there, and you've got the right side facing outwards, so you need the wrong side facing up, and then you've got to put the wrong side of the jean pocket to that, and that's got to be attached. And then you've got your F2 piece, which is that piece that's got the little cutout on. Get the right piece, yeah, and then that's got to be attached with the right side facing up, and then that'll be all of your pocket pieces. So I'm going to actually go and sew that at the machine now. Okay, so that's my pockets all finished now. I've done all my top stitching around the curves, so that's all nice and neat, and I'll just flip it over, and that's how it looks on the inside. And then the next stage is the fly front. So I've just matched the 2 pieces together, and it tells you to do a long stitch along here, just a basting stitch along here down to the mark just here, and then you've got to stitch that with a regular stitch, and then just cut into this little bit here. So that's where I'm at the moment. Then the next stage was top stitching along the right hand side of the crotch area. So I'm going to top stitch all the way along there. If I can just turn it over, just use all the loose threads up there, and then you'll see top stitchings all along here, and this little area here, that's been caught into this top stitching as well. Okay, we're on to fitting the zip now. So I've just had to attach the zip along the right side to the right hand side of the fly extension. So I've just run a stitch all the way along there, and then you flip it over, and you'll see you've got a column of fabric along here, and I've just done a narrow stitch all the way along there. So that's all just joined together now. If I can show you that a bit closer. And if we flip the trousers open like that, and then the fly extension then has got to go over to the right hand side, and I've got to stitch all the way along there. So that's my top stitching done, and onto the right way. Right, so that's my top stitching done, and I've just unpicked all the basting stitch along there. So now I've got a workable thigh zip, which is the first time I've done one of those, so I'm quite pleased with how that's turned out. Today I'm working on the back of the trousers. I've just sewn the yoke to the back trouser part, so that's like that. And then the next stage is to do the flat felled seam. So I've got to trim this bottom hem down, then fold this over and under, and then I've got to do some top stitching. So I've done it on the one side, so if I just show you what it looks like on the other side, that's on the front, and if I turn over to the back, then you can see you've got a nice neat stitch there. I just need to trim that little bit, my bobbin ran out while I was doing it, so I've got a little bit of stitching that just needs to sort out there. So my next job was to attach the two back trouser legs together. So I've attached them all along the crotch area, and then I've had to do some more top stitching. So that's my top stitching on the front, that holds down the seam on the inside. My machine did struggle a little bit, I mean it doesn't look too bad, but if you're looking close, that's where it's really thick. There's about 4 layers of fabric there, so it did skip a stitch a little bit there, but I think that'll have to do, because I think it'll struggle to make it any better than that. So I'm finally back to sewing my jeans again today, so I just thought I'd come on and show you where I'm at. I've finished the front now. I used the template to do the top stitching here. The bar tacks I did struggle with. Well, my machine basically struggled with them. I did get it jammed in my machine, so it's not perfect, but I don't think it's that noticeable really. And now I'm onto the back pocket, so if I just turn them over, so I've positioned my one pocket there. I've just got the other one to do. I would recommend that if you've got an extra pair of hands, then you get somebody to help you to do these. There are some markings on the pattern for the placement, but it was way off for me. So I'm lucky I go to a sewing class, so I got the teacher there to put them on for me while I'd got them on. And I've had to raise them a little bit. I've also shortened them. I took this edge in by about 5/8 of an inch, and then these two edges here, not very much, but I took them in by about 1 millimetre each. So I'm just about to get the other one tacked on, and then I shall sew them all into place. I've now got my pockets all stitched into place. So I've done my top stitching on my pockets. I've also sewn up my side seams and inner seams. So on the inner seam you sew it up, and then you put your top stitch along right the way along the leg, and then on the side seam you stitch it up and you do your top stitching just to the bottom of the pocket, and that's where you do some more bar tacks. So that's all that done now, and then I'm on to the waistband. So for the waistband, I've sewn the waistband facing to the waistband, and then I've attached that to my trousers. I've done the edges, which I did find these edges a little bit tricky. I think I've got there in the end. That one is not brilliant, but I think it's good enough. And now I've pinned all that together, and now I've got to go and top stitch that area now. So I've done all the top stitching on my waistband now. I did find it quite tricky again around the edges. I used I just manually turned the wheel on my sewing machine just to do that bit, because I think it might have got jammed otherwise, because there is quite a lot of fabric there. And then I've just got my belt loops ready, so that's the front and the back of those. So now I've got to look at doing those. So I've got 5 of those, so I've got to attach all those now. Okay, so I've just done the finishing touches to my jeans now then, so I'll show you the final stages that I did. So I've done the belt loops. I just used a backwards and forwards stitch on there. It did say you can do a zigzag stitch, but I just went over it 2 or 3 times just to secure it in place. Then I got my buttoning. I did practice because I've got 2 buttons, so it suggests that you use a hammer to get it in place. I've got this useful tool here, which is an awl, I think. I've had this in my box for ages now, and I never used it. I didn't actually know what it was, but that came in really useful for popping the holes in the right places. So I did practice with my spare button just on some scrap of material. We used a hammer and it broke this back piece here. It broke the sharp piece off the end of it, so that was no good. So then my husband came up with the idea of using his vice. So with his help, we held it in place in the vice and squeezed it in, and that's actually nice and secure now. And then I did the same with all the rivets. So those are my rivets. I've got one on each of the pocket pieces, and I've got one on the coin pocket, and I've got one in the corner of each back pocket. And again, I just used the vice just to squeeze them in place, and I found that worked really well. I'm not sure how I'd have got on with a hammer. Those would have probably hammered in a little bit better, but the button didn't go well. So that's my jeans all finished. I've now hemmed them as well. So I'm planning to do another video just so you can see me wearing them. If you're interested in that, then I'll just talk a little bit about the fit of them. But I'm really pleased. I'm chuffed that I've actually finally got round to making myself some jeans. So hope you found my snippets of video interesting, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.